35 pounds ago, I was not the same person. 35 pounds ago, I was a much less confident, much more unhealthy version of myself than I am now. 35 pounds ago, I wasn't as happy and not living up to my potential. 35 pounds ago, I was in a completely different mindset that kept me from living the life that I wanted to live. As an obese child turned teen who lost 100 pounds, it was easy to see how my life could dramatically improve. It did. I have made many videos about how much my life got better after I lost 100 pounds at 14 years old. And I think it's easier to understand how losing 100 pounds could definitely improve someone's life. But as an adult, I went through a period of time where I gained more weight than I wanted to. No, I have never been technically overweight in my adult life, but I also wasn't exactly where I wanted to be. I had vanity weight to lose. I think that that is the kind of weight loss that many people might find surprising how much it can change your life and how much it can improve your life. So that's what I want to talk about today. I want to tell you 10 ways that losing 35 pounds dramatically changed my life. But what I will say is that this weight loss this time around is a lot different than the weight loss I experienced as a teen. The positive changes I've experienced might seem less glamorous. They are still incredibly impactful, especially at this point in my life. So let's get right to it. The first way that losing 35 pounds impacted my life dramatically is that it forced me to stop drinking regularly. So I have been open with you guys about my past with drinking too much in my 20s. I was a partier. I lived a pretty unhealthy lifestyle. And a lot of those habits followed me into my late 20s, even into the first couple years of my 30s. I was drinking too much, to put it simply. And while I had normalized it and tried to justify it, oh, I'm still working out every single day, I'm still getting work done, I'm still being productive, the reality is it wasn't normal, it wasn't healthy, and it was for sure impacting my weight. I knew I wasn't happy at the weight I was. I knew I wanted to be fitter. I knew I wanted to be leaner. But because drinking had become such a part of my routine, I wasn't willing to accept that to lose the weight, to get healthier, to have the body I wanted, I would have to cut that out. There are many ways that drinking can impact your weight. Number one, which was very true for me, is that drinking gives you the drunken munchies. So even if you plan on eating healthy, even if you plan on being in a deficit, the minute you drink a glass of wine, that usually goes out the window. You get those munchies, and then all of a sudden, oh, well, a few handfuls of this won't hurt. Oh, okay, I can just go one more day without being a deficit will be fine. I can make this up tomorrow. But if you're drinking pretty much every single day and you're having the drunken munchies every single day, that will most definitely impact your weight loss goals. Not to mention that alcohol itself has calories. So for a long time, I tried to delude myself that it's not the wine. It's not the wine that made me fat. It's not the wine that makes me feel this way. But when I had to get serious about losing weight, when I realized that no matter how much I work out or how healthy I eat, if I continue to drink this way, the weight's not going to go away. That's when I had to own up to my bad habits. That's when I had to get serious with myself and about my life and about my goals. And I realized I have to make the change. I have to cut back on my drinking. Otherwise, I'm always going to stay the same. And I wasn't happy there. I did not want to stay 160 pounds. I wanted to look and feel my best. So because of my vanity, because of me wanting to look and feel better, I cut my drinking back dramatically. And like anyone will tell you who used to be a drinker, there are so many positives and benefits to not drinking as much. I mean, I think that you don't even realize when it becomes such a habit where you are drinking often, you don't even realize how much it is negatively impacting your life. Once I cut back on the drinking, I mean, not only did it make it actually possible for me to lose the weight because I wasn't constantly having the drunken munchies and overeating on calories, but my sleep got better, which just made me feel better overall. And it made sticking to a calorie deficit easier. It just made my mood improve, my energy in general improved, my workouts improved. Like that was one of the things I used to justify to myself for drinking was that, well, I still work out every single day. And I would still work out. I would still do like Rumble classes in New York City. I would still do tough workouts. I would go to the gym. And that was my justification for like, well, I can't be too unhealthy or too bad for me if I'm still working out. But let me tell you that the difference I feel in my workouts now, how I work out, the kind of energy I bring to it, and just how much fitter I've gotten since I stopped drinking regularly. I mean, it's insane. Again, I didn't even realize how low energy I was when I was drinking versus now. Like it's a completely different world. So yeah, cutting out regular drinking has made my life infinitely better. And it was a direct result of me realizing that I need to lose the weight. I need to own up to my bad habits. Okay, the second way that losing 35 pounds improved my life for the better is that I stopped eating junk food. So in my 20s, even when I gained some weight, and I wasn't living the healthiest lifestyle, and that I was staying out late, I was partying, I was eating whatever, whenever, I was still pretty good about not eating junk food. So because I was in New York City, I'm not gonna lie, I was eating a lot. You're always going out to restaurants and you're going out to bars, and I was doing too much drinking, obviously. But even then, I was never the person that like, I'm just gonna go to McDonald's. I'm gonna go to the store and get Pop-Tarts. Like ever since I lost the weight initially, like I really did not eat junk food. I did not have a taste for it. I didn't want it. It just wasn't part of my routine. And so even when I was eating out in New York City, like if I wanted French fries, I'm going to get good quality French fries. If I want a pastry, I'm not going to get a Pop Tart. Like I'm going to go to a bakery and get a good quality pastry. So I do think that there is a difference between like, I guess, junk foods. I mean, it's all sugar at the end of the day, but I was still pretty good about that. Like I didn't do the fake stuff. And then if I wasn't eating out, I actually was pretty good about going to the store, going to Trader Joe's, and I would get all my healthy foods when I was eating at home. But of course, like I said, I was partying all the time. So it kind of negated all the healthy food I was eating. So yeah, even in my 20s, I was still pretty healthy-ish when it came to eating. However, when I first moved out of New York City, I was staying with family for a while. And I admit, I kind of went back to old habits, mostly because it was around me all the time. We were eating junk food more. We were eating so much more processed food. We would go to fast food restaurants regularly. And within the span of like just a couple years, I mean, I was eating more junk food and more processed food than I had like in years. And it's pretty scary how quickly you can get addicted to it again. It's pretty scary how it can become like part of your routine again. And that's when I gained weight. Like I gained like 20 pounds in that couple years, going from like 140, 145 to 160. And that was when I was what, like 29, 30, 31, wait, like a couple years ago, right? And that was kind of like the turning point. When I saw the number 160 on the scale, I was like, no, like, okay, something has to be done, right? I cannot keep doing this to myself. Like, I have to make a change. And next to drinking, that was obviously one of the first things I knew I needed to change. I knew I needed to stop eating that way. I knew I wasn't stupid. Like, I knew that the junk food was the reason that I had gained the weight. I knew I was eating too much of it, but it had become part of my routine, and that it was addicting and it was around me all the time. So I had to use more discipline, and I had to really like nix it out of my life. And I had to just come to terms with the fact that no, I really cannot moderate this stuff. I cannot even really have it around me. Like I have to take control now and make sure that it's not in my vicinity. And I have to be more structured, because if I don't change the way I eat, if I continue to let this stuff in my vicinity, then I am not going to be able to lose this weight and I'm not going to feel my best. So that was a big change that I knew would have to happen. I knew I was going to have to cut that stuff out of my diet almost completely. I knew that I had to be more structured. And since doing that, since sticking to 80, 90% whole foods diet for the past few years, I'm 35 now, and I think I lost the weight like 32, 33. I don't know, guys. I've been on YouTube a couple years now. Can you believe that? It's been like a little over 2 years since I've been on here. And I know that I think I lost like the last 10 pounds. I can't remember now. Yeah, it was the last 10, 15 pounds. I did the video. I reached 125, my goal weight. Anyway, yes, I was still in the process of losing like the last like 10 to 15 pounds, I think, when I started this video. So it's been like almost 2.5 years now that I've been on this mostly 80 to 90% whole foods diet. And again, it's life changing. And it's one of those things where it's like, I feel so good now eating the way I eat. And it has just become such habit for me that I can't believe that I was like eating like Pizza Hut and McDonald's, like even like a couple years ago. It's just weird to me. It's like gross, right? And I feel so much better. I don't have the food noise. I have more energy. It's just been a complete 180 and I have no regrets whatsoever. Okay. The third way in which losing 35 pounds changed my life for the better is that I've gotten a lot fitter. So yes, I've always loved working out and would do so regularly. But like I said, because I was eating the junk food, because I was drinking too much, I didn't have the kind of energy that I have now. I didn't even realize that I didn't have it back then. I remember when we were training for the half marathon, this was a few years ago. Was this 2021, I think? I'm telling you guys, like the past few years have just been a blip. I can't even keep track of my timeline anymore. But I remember 2021, I think I not lost the weight yet. I was still heavier. I was still 160. And I remember thinking that like, oh, I'm just gonna, I hadn't run in a while, but I was like, well, I'm a runner. I'm used to this. I can just get back out there. It's going to be a breeze. It was not a breeze. I remember that training for that feeling very hard. And like, I just couldn't believe it. I was like, is it because I'm older? Like, what's going on? Like, I know I haven't run in a while, but I really could not like get a hang of it. In fact, the entire time I was training for that marathon, like, I didn't feel great. I mean, I still did it. Didn't lose a pound, by the way. That's another thing. I don't care how much you run. If you are still drinking and eating like I was, didn't lose a pound. But my point is, like, I just didn't feel great during that marathon. And a really telling moment for me was like, okay, a couple years after that or a year after that, again, I don't know my timeline, so please don't try to like fact check me. All I know is I'm 35 now and I lost the weight a few years ago, okay? But I remember when we did like a 5K race after I had lost like the first 10 pounds. So I was 150. And I remember because I had just like hit that goalpost like around the time that we did this race. And I remember that race feeling like, wow, it felt so different. Again, I hadn't run in a while. So it wasn't like I was super in shape from running all the time. Honestly, it was the weight. Losing just 10 pounds made that run so much easier. And that has been true like every step of the way of this weight loss journey. The first 10 pounds, then the 20, then the 30. And it's just kind of crazy to me because no, I mean, I was not like really overweight or obese at my weight, at my height, right? But it just goes to show how something like 10, 20 pounds really can impact your fitness. It really can impact how your body moves, how your body operates. And as I just continue this journey the past few years, I just notice almost every single day, like how much better I feel, how much fitter I get every single day, and how different workouts I used to do when I was heavier, when I was still gaslighting myself into thinking that, oh, okay, I'm fine the way I am, and I can keep drinking and eating this way because I'm still working out. Like when I tell you my cycling workouts, they're a breeze compared to how they used to be. My cycling workouts used to be hard work. Same with running, weightlifting. I'm lifting more now. I'm doing more intense stuff. And for the first time in like forever, really, I'm actually starting to notice the effects of my workouts because I am finally healthier and leaner. The work I'm putting in is actually starting to pay off and show up on the outside. Okay, the next way that losing 35 pounds changed my life for the better is that I feel like I got my personality back. I really do. I feel like there was a long period in my 20s that I just wasn't me and I wasn't my healthiest. But especially the period where I was my heaviest at 160, where I was transitioning from my 20s to my early 30s, when I had to come to terms with all my bad habits, like I didn't recognize that person. My mindset was so completely different. It was so much more self-conscious. It was so much more limited. I was such a smaller version of myself than I think that I had ever been. And it was all a buildup of all the bad decisions and the bad ways I treated myself in my 20s. And honestly, it was because of like basically a decade period of me not listening to my inner voice, me not listening to the tough love Whitney that speaks to you now. It was because I drowned her out with my own anxiety, with my own drama, with alcohol, with food. I didn't want to hear the truth that I knew deep down I needed to hear. But when I saw the number on the scale and when I finally made the decision to do something about it, that is when I started feeling like myself again. Okay. So not only was I getting healthier and was I going back to the habits that I knew made my life better to begin with, that I knew I needed to be doing, that I should have been doing all along, I just felt more like myself. I felt more like the version of me who decided to make the change 20 something years ago when I was 14 years old and realized, you know what? I don't want to continue life this way. I don't always want to be fat. I have so many dreams and so many things I want to do that I'm going to make the change now. That version of me finally came back and she's sitting here with you right now because that is the version that knew that I meant for more. That is the version that knew that I was only sabotaging myself, that I was hurting myself for God knows why. But I feel more like my old self every single day. And you guys have seen the personality shift since I started this channel. Not only am I looking better, but I'm speaking better on camera. I'm more confident. I'm crushing all these goals that I said I wanted to do years ago. I'm just going for it. I've lost my sense of fear. I just feel more motivated and more ambitious than I have felt like since my teen years. And losing the weight was a big part of that. Because losing the weight is a confidence booster. I tell you guys this all the time, not just because you look better, but because it shows you what you're capable of. When you set your mind out to do something and then you do it, there is no better feeling than that. Okay, and the next way that losing 35 pounds changed my life for better is that it was like another spirituality shift for me. So piggybacking off of what I just mentioned, how I got my personality back, I also feel like losing weight shows you who you truly are because it shows you that you have power over your life, which is really an incredible feeling. But it also, I think, makes you more in tune with your body and more in tune with your spirituality. So I remember when I first lost the weight when I was 14 years old, that was definitely a very big spiritual moment for me because I noticed that, like I said, when I put my mind to something and I think about it and I believe I can do it, I can actually make change out in my real world. And it wasn't just the weight loss, but it was other things that I had written down in my journal, like all these weird things and synchronicities were happening. And that was really the start of my spiritual journey when I learned about law of manifestation. And I started reading the Seth Jane Robert books because I realized, like, yeah, there is more to life. Okay. There's more out there. Some people call it woo woo, whatever, but there is definitely something that connects us all. Okay. And I really feel like when you are not at your healthiest, when you are bombarding yourself with stupid drama, social media, alcohol, drugs, junk food, which is basically a drug, you start to lose that sense of self. You start to lose that sense of, okay, knowing, right? You lose that sense of self empowerment. And since I have been on the weight loss journey, since I've lost the weight and continue to get fitter, I've only gotten more spiritual and it has only continued to open my mind. Like I said, I am not the same person that I was even a few years ago when I first started the weight loss journey. I have just completely changed for the better. And I know it is because I am much healthier. I am closer to looking the way I want to look. I am closer to being my ideal self. And I really believe that to be your ideal self, to really be in tune with yourself, with the environment, with the spiritual world, you have to be healthy on the inside. Okay, the next way that losing 35 pounds improved my life actually has less to do with me, but more with my husband or my fiance, almost husband. But I say this because this actually makes me feel pretty good too. So when we first met, we definitely had like our honeymoon period where he was making all kinds of bread and yummy things, and we ate a lot. Okay, we had our fat period. Okay. But pretty quickly after that is when I decided to lose the weight and get healthy. And he's only ever been super supportive and on the journey with me. And he's actually lost about 20 pounds himself. So he's also gotten a lot fitter. We've gotten fitter together. I think it's only like strengthened our relationship because we like being active together. We like eating healthy together and we really encourage and support each other. And I just think that that is such a positive change, not only for him, but for me, because it's great having someone who is on board with that. And it's also just cool to see like the kind of impact that I can have on other people around me. And so I thought I would include that because I thought that was pretty fun. Like we were just talking about this in the car the other day and we're like, yeah, we both lost a significant amount of weight since we've been together. And he's like, usually it's the opposite. Usually when couples get together, they gain weight. For us, we've only continued to get fitter and healthier and hotter. So yeah, I mean, losing weight, it will change you and will completely transform your life. But also don't be surprised if those positive changes impact others in a positive way as well. So it's like they say, you know, if you want to be a force of good, start with yourself. Change yourself first, and then you can change other people. All right, the seventh way that losing 35 pounds completely changed my life for the better is that I look better. I've already said you guys can compare like my earlier videos to now. I really think it is just because I continue to get fitter and take care of myself. I mean, yes, I've also just gotten better with hair and makeup and all that, but a lot of that is because I finally just have a lot more confidence than I did. Like my body has definitely improved, but also my skin. So I used to have really great skin, even in my 20s when I was drinking all the time and not taking my makeup off, all that stuff. But when I tell you that like my early 30s, I started noticing that I had more skin problems than ever before. And like I not to like brag or anything, but really like I rarely ever had like a pimple or like anything like that. But like I started noticing I was getting more stuff all over my face. I just didn't feel like myself. And lo and behold, once I quit the drinking, once I quit the junk food, lost the weight, I feel like I got my skin back. I just again feel like I am more myself than ever before. It's just losing the weight, getting healthy literally impacts everything from the inside out. Okay, number 8 is that I have gotten a lot more confident. So I've already mentioned this throughout the video that yes, losing the weight has brought me back to, I think, like my true self, but even more so than that, because I just feel more confident than ever before, even when I first initially lost the weight. And yes, of course, a lot of this has to do with the fact that I'm in my 30s now. So that just happens naturally. But it only continues to grow day by day. And I see it when I look in the mirror and I'm noticing the changes in my body, when I notice the changes in my appearance. I notice it in the way I carry myself, the way I speak to people. I notice it in my thinking, where before I thought like, oh, well, that's not possible for me because of blah, blah, blah. Where now I'm like, of course it's possible for me. Like, what do you mean I can't have that? Of course I can. Of course I can, because I'm awesome, because I'm fit, because I'm hot, because I'm smart. How you see yourself, how you perceive yourself is everything. And how confident you are and how you show up in the world is how other people perceive you. Losing weight, getting hotter, wearing the makeup, doing the hair, whatever, it's only ever made me feel more empowered. It's only ever made me take up more space, and it's only ever made me happier and confident. So if someone's going to call me toxic for saying that, I don't know what to tell you. I think it's more toxic to stay 160 pounds, continue drinking too much, eating junk food, not feeling great about yourself, and being a doormat. All right, the ninth way that losing 35 pounds has changed my life for the better is that I sleep better. Yeah, I have a much healthier sleep pattern than I ever have. So I've never actually been a great sleeper. I used to be really bad insomniac when I was a teenager. And then in my 20s, I mean, like I'm sure like many of us, my 20s, my sleep pattern was all over the place. A lot of that probably had to do with drinking also and late nights, just not on a really great schedule. But since I lost the weight and I have been on a healthier schedule and I've not been drinking, I'm eating healthier, I've noticed like for the first time in my life really that I have a very regular sleep schedule and I love sleep and my quality of sleep is so much better. Like I definitely have like a grandma's schedule now where I'm in bed by like sometimes 8:30, 9 p.m. and I freaking love it. Okay. I love getting up early. I love doing my workouts in the morning with a clear head. I love having more energy during the day. And I love feeling tired at night where I can actually fall asleep. So yeah, I had never really experienced that pretty much in all of my life. And it is for sure a direct result of me getting healthier, of me not drinking, of me not eating junk food, of me taking care of myself and caring more about myself and my schedule so that I stay on a healthy schedule, so that I don't stay up late. Because I know that I need energy in the morning to get up and work out. And I don't drink as often because I know that if I drink, I won't sleep as well and then I can't get up and work out or have a really good workout. So yeah, sleeping better is just another one of those unexpected benefits of losing 35 pounds. Okay, finally, the 10th way that losing 35 pounds has changed my life for the better is that I just have an overall better outlook on life now. I am just in such a better mindset than I was 35 pounds before. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I am not the same person that I was 35 pounds before. I am a much healthier, happier, more confident, and more ambitious person than I was 35 pounds ago. And besides my body changing, the only thing that changed was my mindset. There's like the saying they say that like all of your cages are mental. If you have a bad mindset, if you are continuously doubting yourself, if you are continuously thinking negatively, that's going to determine your life, right? Your life is determined by your thoughts. Your life is determined by the thoughts you think, which determine the actions you take. And it also determines what you believe is possible for you. If you don't believe it's possible for you to do XYZ, then you'll never do it. But here's the thing, once I lost the weight, once I got healthier and more confident, all of a sudden, the limiting beliefs that I had about myself or my life, they started to shatter. Because now that I know that, hey, I'm this awesome fit person, I did this, I did that. Of course I can do that. Of course I can do XYZ. Why would I have ever thought that I couldn't? It seems silly now. It seems silly now when I look back at myself 35 pounds ago and think like, how did I ever think that? Why did I ever doubt myself? Why did I ever think that wasn't possible for me? It seems so silly, but it was very real for me at the time. How I felt about myself was very real for me at the time. But losing the weight, getting healthier, going on that journey has showed me that I never had to be that person. It showed me that I always had the power, which is why I always say that weight loss is a spiritual journey. Weight loss is more about just looking pretty. Weight loss is empowering, not because you simply just fit into better clothes, but because it changes the way you think. It shows you what is possible. When you can defeat the biggest obstacle in your life, which is yourself, which is your own negative thinking, then like everything is possible. When you can break out of your own mental cages, which is what I think being unhealthy is. When you are unhealthy, you are in a mental cage because you are subduing yourself with alcohol, you're subduing yourself with junk food, you're subduing yourself with trauma and insecurity and habitual negative thinking. If you are not where you want to be, if you are not in the body you want to be, then you are limiting yourself. And sometimes it just takes the changes on the outside, it takes the physical action of losing the weight to unlock that negative thinking, to unlock the cages in your head. Because once you see that you can physically change your reality, you can physically change your body, then you start to realize, okay, I had this power all along. It was only ever my mindset. And it was only ever my negative self beliefs. Because if I can do that, if I can change my body, if I can change my reality just by thinking different thoughts and taking different actions, what else can I do? How else can I improve my life? And that's where the real power in weight loss is. And that's ultimately one of the most positive ways that losing 35 pounds has impacted my life. All right, guys. Well, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for listening. If you have not already, please like this video and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. If you'd like to hear more about my story, how I lost 100 pounds, and also want a tough love guide for how you can do it too, you can check out my book, 1 Year 100 Pounds. I also have my 1 Year New You guided weight loss journals, which are formatted after the exact same journaling method I used to lose 100 pounds, still used today. They are great for helping you get on track and stay consistent, and also have a healthy dose of tough love from yours truly. So if you are interested in either of those, I will leave the links below in the description. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys next time.